Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dad Strength Podcast. I am your host, Richie Leahy. We're back at it again with another milestone chart or developmental chart for your child. We are now on month 18. And once again, the months are going to get spread out more. This is actually our last month chart. We're going to go ahead into years after this. So it will be at yearly steps. Now that your child's at 18 months, you're going to have less frequent doctor visits, less frequent checkups. You're going to have even more independence from your child, and you're going to go through more of developmental leaps on the cognitive side. No more great leaps in physical ability because your child went from immobile to moving, then to crawling, and then they went ahead and went into walking, and now probably running around at age 18 months or so. They should at least be able to run a little bit, move pretty quickly. For this milestone, though, our charts are the same. They follow the same categories that we used before. The first is social and emotional. And then you have language and communication, followed by cognitive, which is learning, thinking, and problem solving. And then the last category is movement and physical development. So for the first category, we are going to be looking at social and emotional. On social and emotional, you are going to be looking to see if your child can hand things back and forth. They might hand them to you, they might hand them to other children, but they should be able to start sharing objects. And this is something that you might have noticed earlier. I know my daughter's not quite at 18 months, and she can already hand me things that she wants. She may hand me a water bottle, want me to undo the lid, or give me a toy that she wants me to play with, and she actually leads me around. But this is something that you're going to look for. She's going to be able to hand back and forth objects. And with these, then we're going to look at interactions with people. They're going to start to throw temper tantrums. So if they have something that they don't want to hand back to you and you take it from them, they're going to throw a tantrum. So this is where you might hear of like the terrible twos are starting and other areas like that. But do not be afraid. Your child is just going through developmental leaps. And with this, they're going to continue on. They're still going to be afraid of strangers, and they're going to show affection to familiar people like we talked about before. They're going to go ahead and expand their world, though, and be able to play pretend. And what I mean by that is if they have dolls, they'll start to dress up. They might dress up and pretend to be, if it's a girl, they might be a princess. If it's a boy, they might be like an athlete or something. They're going to start to play pretend. You can play pretend school with them, get them ready for preschool. And along with play pretend, they're going to go ahead and have like a safe environment that they have around the house. So they're going to cling more or less to caregivers or anyone that they see a lot. And so even though they pretend, they might want you to play with them. They have their own little world, their safe space. It's starting to expand. They're still afraid of strangers, but they know what they like, and they're going to keep playing along with that. And they're going to start to expand even more in their own space. So before you might be able to put an object in front of them, they can stay contained to one little area. Now they're going to start to explore, pointing out different objects, bringing them to you, handing them over. They're going to go ahead and explore by themselves. So you'll have to start to keep an eye on them. Let's say if you have a bunch of different furniture, they might start to crawl around, crawl underneath, try to find out the different areas of the room and explore not even just the room. They might want to explore the outside environment. So I would recommend taking your child to parks, maybe in the woods, a safe wood. Maybe there's like a greenway or some type of path you can take your child to. Let them run around and explore a little bit on their own. You don't have to stay right beside them. Let them go ahead, explore the area, try to find out, try to learn. That's the best way. So I recommend doing that. now that your child is mobile. Now for the language and communication. Your child will be able to say single words. They'll say mom, dad, they might say milk, they might say food, eat, drink. Try to use different words. Try to use the real words. This is where you might have some parents doing baby talk. I don't recommend doing baby talk. It's something that I try to avoid. You don't want that. You have everything that you have at your disposal right now. Try to teach your child the real words because it's going to benefit them when they start school. You might want to start labeling things around the house, putting the names on it so they see how it's spelled. If you have a desk, put a desk. If you have a television, put the full word. Do not abbreviate. Try to teach them as many words as possible because it will come in handy later on down the road. But they should know single words and they should be able to say them. If you go out, I recommend going out to maybe the zoo, give them an animal book, see if they can point out different animals, then show them the animals. They're going to learn more of what is in their environment, so expose them to more. With this, they're going to have still the same nonverbal cues. They might shake their head no, shake their head yes, say the words, but again, the head shaking is going to be on if you're modeling for them. If they know that shaking the head no means no, then they're going to start to do it. So that's something that you want to go ahead and use around the house because they'll be able to use that in their daily life. And going back to the social emotional, they'll be able to point and show you what they want. If they can't verbalize it, you might have to show them a couple different objects. So if they point to an area, maybe for food, there's 3 or 4 different foods on the table. You might have to hold them up one at a time and say, is this what you want? Say yes, and then they will go ahead and respond to you. Now, along with that, the next big category, cognitive. This is where you're going to go ahead and pick up a lot of steam moving forward in your child's development. Cognitive, they're going to know what things are for. And again, model for them, show them, expose to them different things in the environment. So they're going to know forks, spoons. If you brush your hair, they're going to know that. They know that your cell phone's for. They know you can, if you only use it for text, they think you might just be playing games. If you use it to FaceTime or Skype someone, do some type of video call, they're going to think that that's what it's for. So they'll start to pick up on different objects. They'll try to get your attention at this stage. So if they want, well, you go back to the phone for an example. If they want to make a call, they'll pick it up. They might pretend someone's on the other line. They might bring it to you and say, please. And then you'll know that, hey, they probably want to call someone. They want to talk to someone. And they're going to show interest not only in objects, but in like their stuffed animals. And I know I talked about my line I gave to my daughter on another episode. They're going to go ahead and they'll show interest in dolls or stuffed animals. They'll feed them. They'll carry them with them. They'll try to talk to them at this part. Next, they'll go ahead and point to body parts. This is where I started to introduce a second language. I don't know if it's going to pay off, but show them the body parts have multiple words. My daughter does respond to the other language, not only English. Now, I call each body part one language, and my wife calls them in another. So go ahead, if you're going to expose them to a second language, if you haven't already, start to do that here. They should know their own body parts. And along with that, they should be able to do some fine motor skills. And what I mean by that is they'll be able to scribble on their own. They'll be able to draw, do certain things. They should be aware of their body, so they should be able to point to their own body parts. If you want to ask them a question like, where's your eye? They should be able to point to it. Where's your foot? Can you show me where your ear is? Can you touch your hair? And all of those. So they'll be able to use like their hands for objects. And to build on that, they should be able to draw a little bit. You can have them even draw on printouts of body parts and other things. But anything that they know is going to be what's been exposed to them in their environment. And the very last one for cognitive is verbal commands. So can they follow simple verbal commands whenever you give them to them? You don't want to think of it like a dog training or puppy training, but they should be able to follow the same commands. Like if you say sit down, they should be able to sit down. Or if you say like, hey, can you come here? Try to keep it simple so that they know what the words are. Do not give them a long explanation like, hey, I need you to come over here so that you can pick this up. Say, come here, point to it, pick that up and put it, and then point, like put it in your garbage, put it in there. Try to do it in little steps, break it down. They should be able to follow simple one-step commands though. So break it down, try to build on that at this point. Do one at a time. Sit down, stand up, pick that up, things like that. And that's even without any gestures. So if you're using them over and over again, sit down, they should be able to do without you pointing. And the last category, movement and physical development. Your child should be able to walk alone. They should be able to maybe move a little bit quickly, not quite as a run, but that's where we're going with this. They should be pretty physical. They may walk up in stairs. They may run. They might walk down the stairs. Be careful with that. Look online. Try to find different ideas to help build your child's stamina and strength enough that they have control to walk up and down stairs if you have them in your house. My daughter just started running down the stairs. She holds on. She tried to reach the railing, couldn't reach it. And so then she used the wall as balance. And she walks right down just like she would walk up, like an adult would. And that was kind of scary at first because I know that children are not supposed to do that. But this is a stage where they're going to start building their physical skills up to normal levels. And with this, they'll be able to pull objects. So if they see you doing like a wagon or a stroller, they might try to replicate this with some of their toys. Pull toys behind them. Sometimes they have toys that have the things. This is the age you pull those out. Unfortunately, too, at this age, they'll start to undress themselves. So you'll have a tough time keeping diapers on and clothes on. And I'm starting to go through that now. It's pretty bad. She knows she's doing it to get attention. She laughs about it. So you just have to you don't want to make it a battle. Just keep getting them dressed and show them that you have clothes on. Like, hey, I have my clothes on. And then for more, building up some fine motor skills, they'll be able to eat with themselves, drink with themselves. So drink from a cup, maybe feed themselves with a spoon. Yeah, feed instead of eat. But feed themselves with a spoon, fork maybe. Get one of those like little rubber or plastic forks. But they should have enough fine motor skills to go ahead and control those and use them in their daily routine. And this is where you want to start to build up your daily routine. Try to keep it structured. That might be tough if both parents work. Try to work something out. I try to do it when I get home, where we were doing eating, then going for a walk, and then maybe playing like some educational games, followed by reading a story before bedtime. We always made sure we read. Some of the educational stuff I do, it's either going to be some video game thing that she can follow along with, or this is where I introduce maybe a quick show in a foreign language, try to teach her the words. So this is where your child is really going to start to mold into a toddler or child, and you'll start to see some type of attitude build out. So everything is going to be growing pretty quickly from here on out in the cognitive area. And that's where we'll be building on next time when we look at the 2-year-olds. So thank you. You have been listening to Dad Strength with Richie Leahy.